The Philippines had the third worst incidence of severe and moderate food insecurity in South Asia, with 44.7% of the population faces moderate or severe food insecurity, while 29% of children suffer from stunted growth due to malnutrition. These numbers highlight a crisis that demands urgent attention. Why is food insecurity so widespread? It is a combination of factors including rising food prices, lack of agricultural investment, climate change, natural disaster, poor infrastructure, and employment. Let's break these down one by one. First, poverty limits access to food. Recent surveys show that 59% of families consider themselves as poor, and 71% describe themselves as having no savings. In conflict-affected areas, half of the population live on only 16 cents per day, making food access nearly impossible. Second, agriculture, as the backbone of food security, is also under threat. Land grabbing and conversion displays for small farmers, which lack of government support hinders sustainable farming. What is even worse is of farm-to-market rules, as known as FMRs. FMRs trap farmers as they cannot transport goods efficiently, leading to waste products. As the most disaster-prone country in the world, the Philippines has experienced countless natural disasters every year, which directly destroy crops. In 2016, El Nino wiped out 95 million worth of crops. Studies even show that even a 10 to 20% drop in rainfall reduced food consumption.
Stability is defined as the ability of a population to access adequate food at all times, without the risk of losing that access due to sudden shocks or cyclical events. This dimension is essential because it determines whether a population can withstand unforeseen crises like economic downturns or climate disasters. The Philippines is especially vulnerable in this regard. Just like previously mentioned, the country frequently faces climate disasters such as typhoons and droughts, which can devastate agricultural lands, destroy crops, and disrupt supply chains. Especially as an archipelago with over 7,000 islands, the effects of such typhoons can get amplified as it moves across the region. The impact is twofold. First, the destruction of crops lead to immediate scarcity, driving up food prices and making it harder for families to afford basic necessities. Second, the aftermath of these disasters often result in long-term recovery challenges. As communities struggle to rebuild their livelihoods, this creates a cycle of food instability that can last for several years. Without stable food systems, even short-term disruptions can lead to prolonged hunger and malnutrition. By focusing on stability, we aim to build resilience against these shocks, ensuring that Filipinos have a consistent access to food.
AI, especially machine learning, analyzes factors such as temperature, humidity, and food composition to predict spoilage nowadays. From farm to fork, IoT sensors track temperature, humidity, and light. With the use of AI, this processes the data to alert suppliers before food degrades. By pairing with this blockchain, we can get end-to-end traceability, which is critical for recalls and complaints. Knowing that foodborne illnesses cost billions yearly,
We evaluated a range of existing databases. They would be useful in introducing AI to support solutions to food insecurity in the Philippines, which then allows it to analyze the data to identify any outlying problems with greater precision. I will briefly outline the databases. The FAQ Statistical Yearbook 2024 is a statistical database that provides data on production, trade, food security, and food prices across 245 nations in chronological order. Fill the Nutrient Gap is a reference tool for understanding, selecting, and using indicators within the UN World Food Programme, specifically their Corporate Results Framework. Artificial intelligence can be used to measure the severity of food insecurity at the household level to identify vulnerable populations, as well as guide the government to appropriate resource allocation. The cost of the diet is a framework that estimates the minimum cost of a diet that meets the nutritional needs of households. AI can be used to analyze the market data to monitor changes in the costs of nutritious diets over time. It will then act as a tool to identify periods when nutritious diets become unaffordable, which allows the government and helps them to direct funds accordingly. These databases have underlying gaps and limitations that make them fall short of ideal databases for AI analysis.
As for limitations of existing database, First of all, several databases lack contextual specificity, meaning that they do not adequately account for local sociocultural, political, or environmental factors in the Philippines. For instance, the FAO Food and Agricultural Microdata Catalog may be US-centric, failing to reflect the situation in the Philippines. Also, FSIN's focus on acute food insecurity misses chronic challenges, so conclusions are often non-region specific. The Food Systems Dashboard and SDG Indicator Data Portal collect data at a national level, often missing regional variations. Therefore, the voice of indigenous groups are often excluded. For example, internationally, the assumption of US-centric data overlooks Southeast Asian farmers' lived experiences, while internationally, the situation in the remote areas cannot be specifically told while only nationally average data are presented. Secondly, there's a general limitations of many food insecurity databases that they all lack real-time updates. For nearly all databases, they are measured on an annual basis. The absence of real-time data adversely affects communities facing dynamic crises, such as disaster-prone Philippines. Vulnerable populations, including displaced persons or rural farmers, are excluded from timely interventions, as their current needs are not reflected in outdated datasets. Yet, there are still a lot of other limitations, such as over-reliance on quantitative data, incomplete or inaccurate data, language and accessibility barriers.
So now, let's talk about how to fill the gaps in existing data. Given the gaps in the existing database of the Philippines, our newly proposed idea suggests the use of more innovative methods combined with existing technologies. For example, we can make use of satellite imagery. The Philippines Space Agency and the Department of Agriculture use satellite imagery for policy and disaster response. Farmers benefit indirectly through tailored support, while NGOs like the FAO leverage data for aid planning. Local government units (LGUs) assess flood impact maps as seen during Typhoon Agaton in 2022. Data captured under this technology provides high-resolution, real-time insights into crop health, land use, and environmental conditions across vast areas, including remote regions like Mindanao. It can monitor crop damage from typhoons, floods, or droughts, which affect 60% of the Philippines' land area. Governments and international organizations like FAO and WFP use satellite data to design interventions while sharing insights with farmers by extension services, as seen in FAO's Flag PH initiative. This helps overcome geographic limitations by covering rural and disaster-prone areas where ground-based data collection is sparse. Nonetheless, the use of social media can be crucial to the new proposal too. Social media platforms like Facebook and X provides real-time insights into food prices, shortages, and consumer sentiment, addressing temporal and stakeholder exclusion gaps. A study by Canet et al. 2021 found that 100% of online food businesses in Bulacan use Facebook to promote products, share price information, and engage consumers, providing data on market dynamics absent from traditional surveys. Social media data captures demand-side issues such as public reactions to rise price inflation or supply disruptions, complementing supply-side data from satellites. It also identifies consumer preferences and misinformation affecting markets. Farmers, small businesses, and consumers use platforms like Facebook to report price changes or advocate for better access, as seen in campaigns pushing for subsidized rice. The Department of Agriculture and NGOs monitor these platforms to adjust programs like Malang Gutom 2027. Food influencers such as Ninongri with 682K Instagram followers share local production insights, engaging wider audiences. And this is an example that social media can help promote the product of local farmers and share information of food, especially during natural disasters, is happening.
Note that there have been already countries utilizing satellite imagery and social media to collect data to monitor food security levels. For satellite imagery, the FAO's Data in Emergency team utilizes satellite imagery to monitor food crises in southern Africa. In 2023, it tracked maize crop losses due to heat and pest, informing aid and agricultural support policies. For social media, the net-based platform was used in the US during COVID-19 period to locate stressed food supply chains in real time. These examples thus provide concrete proof of the effectiveness of utilizing satellite imagery and social media to tackle food security problems.
To conclude, the Philippines grapples with severe food insecurity, affecting 44.7% of its population and stunting 29% of children, driven by poverty, agricultural challenges, climate disasters, and 24.4% rise in inflation in 2025. AI tools like predictive modeling and IoT supply chain tracking enhance food stability but are limited by data gaps in granularity and inclusivity. Innovative solutions like satellite imagery and the use of social media are hoped to fill these gaps with real-time, localized insights, as seen in FAO's DIEM and net-based analytics. This is the end of our presentation. Thank you.